Most people don't really want to retire because they hate their jobs. They want to retire because they're tired of not having time to live. Every day is the same. They wake up to an alarm someone else set, rush through a morning that they never get to feel, and spend the best hours of their lives doing things they'd never choose if money weren't on the line. They tell themselves, one day I'll have enough to finally rest. But that one day never seems to come, because the more they earn, the more they want. And that idea of enough keeps moving further away like the horizon you see before you. The closer you walk, the farther it drifts. That is the paradox of time. We can't buy it back, yet most people spend their entire lives selling it. They save every dollar but waste every hour trading youth, health, and peaceful mornings for the promise of a future they may never reach. Naval Ravikant once said, "Retirement is when you stop sacrificing today for an imaginary tomorrow." That single sentence changed how thousands of people around the world see money and freedom. Because maybe retiring early doesn't mean you stop working. It means you stop believing that life only begins later. Imagine two men both 35 years old. One races through every day chasing higher titles, better cars, bigger houses. The other lives simpler, doing work he loves, spending less than he earns, and investing steadily each month. 10 years later, one is still running. The other is free to choose how he wants to live. And when you look back, you realize retiring early has nothing to do with age or luck. It starts with a mindset, a philosophy that changed Naval Ravikant's life and could help you reach freedom 10 years sooner. Hi, I'm Jack. I'm not here to teach you how to get rich fast. I'm here to show you how to live free sooner. On this channel, we talk about time, money, and awareness. Simple philosophies that can help you retire 10 years earlier and start truly living today. If you believe freedom is worth more than money, hit subscribe. And let's begin the journey to take your time back. When we're young, most of us carry a picture in our minds. One day I'll retire. I'll buy a small house by the sea, read books, plant trees, travel the world, and never worry about money again. It sounds beautiful, but in reality that one day is often just a dream we attach to the future, a reason to endure the present. We call it retirement, but sometimes retirement is just the postponement of freedom. People often tie their happiness to some milestone ahead. When I have 1 million, I'll finally relax. When my kids go to college, I'll feel at peace. When I retire, I'll truly enjoy life. But when they finally get there, they realize they no longer have the energy, the curiosity, or the hunger to live as they once did. They've traded their youth for a tomorrow they no longer have the strength to enjoy. Naval Ravikant once said, "Many people spend their entire lives making money only to spend that money buying back the health they lost while making it." And that is the greatest illusion of retirement. We think it's a reward, when in fact it's often the consequence of living the wrong way. The truth is, retirement isn't a destination. It's a state of mind. You can retire today if you learn to stop sacrificing the present for an imagined future. Think about it. How many people work jobs they hate just to save for someday? How many wealthy people can't spend an afternoon walking outside without feeling guilty? And how many claim they want freedom but panic the moment they have to live without someone else's schedule? Naval once shared, "Freedom doesn't come from having more money, it comes from needing less." That is the first step to escaping the illusion of retirement. Because if you need less, you're already richer. And if you no longer have to trade today for a vague tomorrow, you're already living in retirement, even while you work. Naval said he never wanted to retire in the way the world defines it. He just wanted to work from curiosity, not from fear. To build things he believed in. To invest in ideas that inspired him. To spend most of his time learning writing and quietly observing the world. When you no longer need anyone's permission to rest, when you stop counting down to the weekend, and when you can choose how to live each day you've already retired. Not at 60, but at the moment you stop trading your time for money. The core philosophy, don't chase money, chase freedom. If there's one simple philosophy that can help you retire 10 years earlier, it's this: don't chase money, chase freedom. It sounds abstract, but this is what Naval Ravikant has repeated again and again in his conversations about real wealth. Because for him, wealth isn't about how much money you have, it's about how much control you have over your time. Naval says, "You're truly wealthy when you can choose how you spend your days." That's the difference between people who make a lot of money and those who are truly free. The first are often trapped by fear of losing their jobs, of falling behind, of being replaced. The second, even if they earn less, can sleep peacefully because they no longer need anyone's permission to live the way they want. 1. Freedom is not a result, it's a direction. Most of us live as if freedom were a prize we'll earn at the end, work for 30 years, save, invest, and then finally get to slow down. But the truth is, freedom is a path you can start walking today. Every small decision, spending less, investing earlier, saying no to things that don't fit, buys you a little piece of your time back. The more control you have over how you spend your hours, the closer you are to early retirement, even if your age hasn't changed. 2. The 3 levels of freedom. Naval describes freedom as 3 layers, 3 doors you walk through one by one. 1. Freedom of time, you're no longer ruled by someone else's schedule. 2. Freedom of money. Your money works for you, not the other way around. 3. Freedom of mind, you're no longer driven by fear. Most people stop at the second door. They have money but not peace. Their minds are still chained to anxiety and the need for approval. Naval chose to walk through the third door, to let go of the need to prove anything and to live as himself. 3. When you need less, you already have enough. Naval once said, happiness doesn't come from adding more, but from needing less. When you stop chasing the version of success the world sells you, you realize freedom costs far less than you think. You don't need a mansion, a luxury car, or $1 million account. You just need enough to wake up without a heavy heart. A person earning $3,000 a month but living happily on $1,500 is richer than someone earning $10,000 but spending $12,000. Because real wealth isn't measured by the size of your bank account, it's measured by the number of free hours you own each day. 4. When you live for freedom, money finds you. When you stop chasing money, you start creating value. And when you create real value, money naturally follows. That's what Naval calls leverage. You can use the leverage of intellect code, the leverage of creativity content, and the leverage of capital, money itself, to separate your income from your time. The less your work depends on your physical presence, the closer you move toward true freedom. And that's the fastest path to retiring 10 years earlier. 5. Living by the philosophy of freedom. The moment you pause and ask yourself, what kind of life do I really want? Who do I want to spend time with? What am I actually living for? That's when freedom begins. Because freedom is not what happens after retirement. It's a way of living you can choose right now. Naval said, money is a tool to buy back your time. Use it wisely, because there's nothing more valuable than living in alignment with yourself. And maybe if you start shifting your mindset today, if you stop chasing money and start chasing freedom, 10 years from now, you'll look back and realize you've already been retired for a long time. You just didn't know the right name for it yet. How this philosophy can help you retire 10 years earlier. A philosophy only has value when it steps out of books and walks quietly into the small decisions you make every day. Naval Ravikant didn't become wealthy through a complicated formula. He simply lived by one principle. Freedom matters more than money, and that belief allowed him to retire long before anyone thought he would. If you want to shorten your path to freedom by 10 years, start with 4 small changes that are more powerful than any saving or investment plan. 1. Stop chasing a lifestyle of display. Every time you buy something just to prove something, you're buying another layer of bondage. A new car isn't just its price, it's insurance, maintenance, and the pressure to keep up an image. A big house isn't just pride, it's debt, upkeep, and responsibility. The more you spend to be seen, the further you drift from freedom. Naval once said, status seeking is the opposite of freedom. So pause and ask yourself, do I really need this, or do I just want people to see that I have it? Every honest answer buys you back a little more time from your own life. 2. Choose work for meaning, not just for money. Many people work to escape poverty only to become slaves to their jobs. They're afraid to quit, afraid to change because money has become the new cage. Naval says, the goal is not to escape work, but to find work that feels like play. When you find something that excites you, you're already living like a retired person because you're working from choice, not fear. 3. Build leverage so time stops being a limitation. Naval believes freedom comes from leverage, the ability to create value without adding more hours. There are three main types of leverage. Capital leverage, your money works for you through smart investments. Code leverage, systems, software, or content you create that run 24/7. People leverage, a team or structure that multiplies your impact. When you build sustainable leverage, you start separating your income from your working hours, and that's the real shortcut to retiring 10 years earlier. 4. Practice mini retirements now. You don't have to wait until you're 60 to retire. You can practice what Naval calls mini retirements, intentional breaks to slow down and reconnect with what truly matters. Take 1 month each year to live as if you were already free. No alarms, no rigid plans, just wake up and follow peace. When you return to work, you'll notice something: the fear is gone. Because once you've tasted freedom, you can never forget what it feels like to live. Naval said, retirement isn't the end of work, it's the end of needing to work. 5. Define what enough means. The hardest question isn't, how can I earn more? It's, how much is enough for me? If you never define enough, you'll stay trapped in a race with no finish line. So sit down and write it out. How much does a simple, happy life really cost me each month? How many free hours a day do I need to feel alive? If I lived this way, could I reach it within 10 years? You'll be surprised to find that freedom costs far less than you think. It only requires clarity and consistency. 6. Redefine success. Success is no longer how much you make, but how many days you don't have to rush. It's not about what you own, but how much of your time truly belongs to you. If you live by that value, you'll cut at least 10 years off the meaningless race because you've shifted from working to live to living to do what you love. Naval Ravikant didn't retire to escape the world. He retired to finally live in it. And you can too. Starting with one simple decision: don't chase money, chase freedom. The quiet rich. There's a kind of wealth that few people notice, not wealth in money or fame, but wealth in time, in peace, and in self-control. Naval calls them the quiet rich, the people who are rich in silence. They don't show off what they have because what they truly own can't be seen. They wake up with the sunrise, sip coffee, slowly read a few pages, and work on something they love not because they have to, but because they want to. They don't rush. They don't compete. They don't need to prove anything. For them, every calm morning is a reward. Freedom to them isn't about not working. It's about choosing what's worth their time. You might not recognize them in a crowd. They're not loud, not trendy, and they don't talk much about success. But if you look into their eyes, you'll see something: money can't buy contentment. They don't wait until 60 to retire. They already retired the day they learned how to live without running away from life. Naval Ravikant is one of them, and he believes anyone can become one of the quiet rich if they dare to put freedom above everything else. Maybe in this noisy world, true wealth is simply living. Slowly living simply and living honestly. Redefining retirement. When we're young, we think of retirement as a door that opens into freedom. But as we grow older, we realize that door isn't at the end of the road. It's hidden inside our daily choices. Retirement isn't the day you stop working. It's the day you stop sacrificing your real life for a future that only exists in your imagination. It's not when you finally have enough money. It's when you finally have the courage to live according to your own values. Naval Ravikant once said, the goal isn't early retirement. The goal is to live freely today. Maybe we don't have to wait until 60 to retire. Maybe all we need is the right philosophy and the courage to practice it every day. Live simpler, spend less, create real value, and choose freedom over appearance. Because in the end, freedom doesn't come from a number in your bank account. It comes from the quiet peace of knowing you're living in the right direction. If this story made you pause and rethink what retirement really means, please click like. It tells the algorithm that calm voices still matter. And don't forget to subscribe to explore more simple philosophies that can change how you see money, time, and freedom. Because maybe you don't need to be richer to live better. You just need less fear and more choice.